the galaxy's coolest smuggler, pilot of the Millennium Falcon, and the last of our heroes to join the story. This is the Han Solo episode. Hi, I'm Alex, and welcome back to Star Wars Relics. Han Solo is without a doubt the bad boy of the group. His edge and attitude made him one of the most popular characters in the original trilogy. And with two major variations of this figure, he's also one of the most sought after in the vintage line. Han Solo makes his entrance when Chewbacca brings Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker to meet him. Han quickly makes it clear that he can get them to Alderaan while staying one step ahead of the Empire. Once they strike a deal, it seems like exactly the kind of opportunity Han's been waiting for. On his way out, he's intercepted by Greedo, who tries to shake him down. Through their exchange, we learn about Jabba the Hutt and the trouble Han has gotten himself into. The confrontation ends with Han shooting Greedo, who never saw it coming. It's our first real glimpse into Han's world. He's completely at home in the underworld and sharp enough to tip the bartender on his way out. When our heroes arrive at the Millennium Falcon, Han brushes off Luke's jab at the ship as they board. Just then, the Empire arrives, and it appears Han scores his first, possibly second kill as they make their escape from Mos Eisley. Han skillfully evades 3 Imperial cruisers before making the jump to light speed. Upon arriving at Alderaan's coordinates, it's clear to Han that the planet has been destroyed. The Falcon is soon captured and brought aboard the Death Star. Our heroes hide in Han's smuggling compartments and manage to overpower 2 stormtroopers standing guard by the ship. Once they escape the garbage compactor, our heroes make their way back towards the Falcon. They're surprised by a stormtrooper patrol, and Han takes out his next trooper. Charging after the retreating soldiers, Han fires again, dropping another before the tables turn and the stormtroopers begin chasing him. Eventually, the group reunites and makes it back to the Falcon. It's unclear whether Han lands any more hits as they blast their way out of the Death Star. Once they've escaped the Death Star, the Falcon is immediately attacked by 4 TIE fighters. Han takes out the first and fourth without the Force, showing off his skills behind the controls. On the way to Yavin 4, he makes it clear once again that he's in this for the money, not the rebellion. Although he sits in on the rebel briefing for the Death Star attack, Han's disinterest is obvious. He collects his reward, wishes Luke luck, and reminds Chewbacca that this isn't their fight. But when the Death Star begins its firing sequence, Han returns at the last moment, blasting one of Vader's escorts and giving Luke the opening he needs to destroy the station. Han is front and center, celebrating after the battle with our heroes. During the victory celebration, Han is recognized and he looks so uncomfortable and awkward the entire time. Han Solo is without a doubt one of the most popular characters in all of Star Wars. He is the voice of Chewie, and together they have the same kind of chemistry as R2 and 3PO. They genuinely feel like best friends. Giving Han the ability to understand Chewie was a stroke of genius that added so much depth to the Star Wars universe. I have always appreciated that Han is a little shady. He brings a different kind of diversity to the group. A farm boy, a princess, an alien, 2 droids, and a smuggler. I love that mix. Revolutions are made up of people from every walk of life, and you never know who will turn out to be a leader or a warrior. Casting Harrison Ford, who was a rapidly rising star at the time, was the perfect choice. He brought what made the character real. Han has probably the strongest character arc in the original Star Wars, evolving from a selfish scoundrel into a selfless hero. And the best part, his best was still to come. Han, of course, made his debut on the original 12-back card. He later appeared on the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Trilogo cards, but he never received a Power of the Force release. 2 different images were used for Han Solo. The original features a post shot of Han in front of the Falcon. Classic Han. Ready to shoot from the hip, it's a dynamic photo that perfectly captures his swagger, and we get a great look at his DL-44 blaster. During the 65-back run, a new image was introduced. This time, Han is inside the Death Star holding an E-11 blaster, making the shot movie accurate. That said, he looks a bit bored, and overall, I wouldn't call it an upgrade from the original. When it comes to Han Solo, there are 2 main variations, and it all comes down to the head sculpt. The original release featured what's known as the small head Han. The sculpt itself is actually quite good, with a surprisingly accurate hairstyle, but the head was comically undersized for the body. Kenner corrected this early on, giving us the version most of us grew up with, the large head Han. They started from scratch, but clearly overcompensated for the earlier design. The new head lost some of the resemblance to Harrison Ford, and the hair color ended up much darker. In the end, it's hard to say one is truly better than the other. Both versions have their flaws, and both have their fans. If I had to pick one, it would be the large head, purely out of nostalgia. Almost perfect. Once again, it feels like when you gave Kenner artists the details, they really worked to include as much as possible. That's most evident in the effort that went into the holster, probably the standout part of the figure. They captured every detail, got the buckle right, lined up the belt across the legs and torso, and were smart enough to leave the holster empty. The artist also nailed the neckline on his shirt, even though the color leans more towards a light yellow, that in a lot of shots does look white. The vest on screen does have some pouches and pockets, but they are subtle and hard to see. It feels the artist added a little and left the ones on the back off. Something I really appreciate is that the artist included some bunching up and creasing on the pants around the knees, an absolutely amazing added touch. The biggest inaccuracy is the pants. Black with a red stripe instead of blue with a red stripe. Kenner stuck with the black base plastic and added the red line, which clearly made production easier and cheaper. They could have never imagined that decades later we'd invent the internet just to pick apart the job they did back then. Han is famous for his modified DL-44 blaster, and Kenner delivered what I consider an extremely faithful version, instantly recognizable to any fan. The handle and magazine aren't as connected as they should be, but that design choice was necessary to allow space for the figure's hand. The blaster was such a solid design that Kenner even used it for other figures in the line. Kenner once again tried and took a big swing. I'm not sure who, but someone made it clear to Kenner that Han Solo shoots from the hip, and there is a scene where he shoots under the table, and they tried to accommodate this. The arm has just a good enough grip on the blaster, the hand can point the blaster in the right direction, and the arm looks just natural enough to work. But you never get the satisfaction of making him aim down the barrel of the gun, and it feels more like he's casually pointing the weapon. His standing ability is typically average. His footprint isn't very large, and the leg and foot positioning aren't particularly dynamic. He stands solidly with his arms at his sides, and while he can hold a pose with his arms raised, he's definitely close to the tipping point. For our second career, my wife and I started Fresh Solutions Therapy, an online psychotherapy practice built on the belief that therapy doesn't have to suck. Our team works a lot with people in high-stress careers, nurses, firefighters, teachers, and others who face intense pressure and responsibility. They have extensive experience helping clients return calm and control back into their lives. If you're in a high-pressure role, I know our team can help you. Please visit freshsolutionstherapy.ca to book a free 15-minute consultation with one of our amazing therapists. This is a complicated figure. So much about it is exceptional, and the sculpting on the holster and costume details are among the best in the original 20. Like the lightsaber in the arm feature, Kenner took a big swing by giving this figure its own unique trait, the appearance that Han shoots from the hip, just like on screen. It's not terrible, but it didn't quite land. The pose makes him look less dynamic, and the fact that it was never repeated in later figures says a lot. Still, for attempting something new, and for the first time in a costume 3.75-inch figure, I have to give them props. I really appreciate the effort. As for the head, the small version probably resembles Han Solo more, but it looks comically tiny, especially when he's standing next to Luke. The larger head balances the proportions better, though the likeness is weaker and the head feels a bit oversized for the body. The figure also didn't escape the trademark stiffness of Kenner's original 20. Considering that Harrison Ford was about 6 feet tall and in solid shape, the figure feels a bit thin and scrawny. Still, Thanks to the costume design, there's no mistaking it. This figure is absolutely Han Solo. I got my first Han Solo early on, and he and Chewie were inseparable, just like R2 and 3PO. I know that I had him and Chewie, but I don't see either in the picture. Maybe they're both in Slave 1? I don't know. Due to his arm design, Han was the figure that snuck up behind other figures and would press his blaster into their backs. His bent arm also made him suitable for guarding and escorting prisoners. And that's it for the original Han Solo review. Which version did you prefer? What did you think of his weapon arm? I want to hear about it in the comments. Thank you to all that subscribed, and especially to those that take the time to comment. The comments have been way better than I hoped. I post the thumbnail on the Star Wars Relics Facebook page 24 hours before the episode goes live. If you know your Star Wars, you already know who's next. Until then, take care.